Yeah, so look what turned up. I got look what turned up today. Some pretty cool stuff. A small cardboard box, a medium cardboard box, and a larger cardboard box, all from Hoymiles. I'm a bit excited because I know what's inside these. These are some of the biggest microinverters, which we don't even call them microinverters anymore. They're basically just under panel inverter systems that I've seen. This one here, the HM700, takes 2 modules, and the HME 1200 takes 4 modules. And the thing is monitored by what's in this box. It's got its own wireless monitoring system. So let's get into it. Just a bit of clarification, the boxes you saw me just open are actually just some sample units sent to me, not the actual boxes that would come when you normally purchase the Hoymiles product. They'd come in a box like this. This unit here would take 6 of the HME 1200 units, so that's about 7.2 kilowatts of inverter power in this box. Awesome. Anyway, back to you, Glenn. Well, first things for unboxing, make it safe. We're going to be using some sharp stuff here and really need my gloves. All right, well, why don't we start with the smallest box first and check this out. So what we've got in here is a monitoring system that connects to the cloud and to the Hoymiles monitoring cloud, and we can then see how the system's performing. Also, there's an app which goes on your phone. You just search for Hoymiles. So, what have we got in here? This is the modem. Now, it's got a 2.4 gigahertz antenna. So that's long range Wi-Fi. Now you might think, oh, you know, the newest iPhones have 5G gigahertz or 5 gigahertz, not 5G, 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, but actually that's got more speed but less distance. This is a 2.4 gigahertz dual antenna for range, and it's going to be connecting through to our microinverter systems. We've got a plug pack here, which no doubt we power the unit with. So there's our USB adapter and a 5-volt supply into the modem. We've also got a little multi-connector here for RS485. So there we go. And there are 2 ports on the back here, so labeled DRM. So this is for control of inverter systems by the DNSP, by the utility. So DRM 0 is a function required by 4777 Part 2, so you can turn an inverter system off remotely. And we've also got an Ethernet port to connect by wired cabling to the internet. And we've got a USB port, which I'm not quite sure what that is for yet. Let's have a look. What else have we got in here? We've got a mounting bracket for the unit, and that looks like we can clip that on the bottom here. What else is in here? Well, a little bit of packaging and some documentation. Where are we? Oh, here we go, documentation. And what do you know? First thing it tells you is download the app. So it's got a QR code right here to download the Hoymiles app for monitoring the system, and the instructions, the quick install instructions, which I'll always love some of those, is for setting up the modem. Now this unit here also has a small micro SD card slot in the side here, and another slot as well, which I've got a feeling there's an option, maybe it's not on this one, but there's an option for 4G as well, but I won't confirm that yet. You might have to see what it says in the description in terms of other connectivity options for this unit. And that's it. Basically, we now have our little modem for wireless monitoring of the Hoymiles microinverter systems. Well, let's get into the boxes. Kind of like Christmas, really. You start with the small ones, you work up to the big ones. So what have we got here? It's labelled HM700, so let's cut this open. All right, so we've got the quick install instructions. Always good to have right on top of the box so you can see what you're going to be doing. Just a little bit of protective packaging, and here is the main event. Well, we'll come to these in a second. The main event being this inverter. Now, we've been calling these microinverters for a long time. Microinverters used to be a matter of a few hundred watts. In fact, our previous standard AS5033, the 2014 edition, and the previous ones all referred to microinverters having a maximum power rating of 350 watts at standard test conditions. With the 2021 edition of 5033, we completely dropped the definition of microinverters. We just gave any PCE, any power conversion equipment that had an input rating of less than 120 volts or 120 volts or less, didn't require to have a DC disconnect, a load break disconnect at the input. So effectively, these can be any size we like. These can be hundreds, thousands of watts, but there's a couple of other things which are good to have, which is individual maximum power point tracking, charge controlling, or control of a PV array. So what we got here is the model is the HM700. It's designed for 2 modules, so there's one, there's another. It comes with a 2.4 meter long AC cable, and rather than having a T-junction with a separate trunking cable, this is the trunking cable. This will plug into the next microinverter system or the next Hoymiles inverter, like this. Lock it in, and you just keep on going. So you'll have a maximum, depending on the current rating of the product, of how many you can connect in series. Of course, when you get to the end, you've got a blanking plug that stops the water getting in. So that goes on there, and then you've got your connection to go to some circular AC cable. So it'll plug on. We've got some circ coming off here to an AC isolator. Remember, this is AC output here, and that's one of the beauties. So on the front here, which is the bit you probably won't see once the panels go down, but there is actually a stub antenna and a small viewing port for an LED. So I guess this is where we're going to get our communications from, and this is where we're going to get a status light from. And there's the mounting points for the unit on the top there. So it's pretty compact and pretty light, and that is a 700 VA inverter suitable for 2 modules connected. And the other big advantage with 5033 2021 is we used to say a maximum of 1.5 meters of cable from the module to the what was then referred to as a microinverter. And now, with inverters with a voltage of 120 volts or less on the DC side, we allow 1.5 meters from the edge of a module. We don't worry how long the module leads are. Now that makes it much more practical to have multiple panels coming into a single inverter with its separate inputs, MPPT1, MPPT2, for instance. So that's the HM700. Let's have a look at its big brother. I've got it right here next to me. Now its big brother is the HME 1200, and this is the Australian version. It's got AU on the end of the name. And by the way, these are already approved. This is approved, the CEC approved as an inverter system in Australia, which is great. And very similar unpacking experience, a little bit of protective coating and a quick install guide. There's our quick install guide for the unit, explaining the basics. Then we've got our blank for the end of the trunking cable, and another connector for connecting to our circular AC cable that's going to go off to an AC isolator. And inside here is this beauty. Now this slightly bigger version, it's got a bit more heatsink on it. This is a 1200 VA, notionally 1200 watts inverter with 4 MPPTs. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it's amazing. I can remember installing 1200 watt inverters that weighed about 15 kilos. This, nothing. Well, not quite nothing. So, a few things to note, and I should compare these side by side, is the data sheets on the back, so you can read their key ratings. Both of these have a maximum input voltage on the DC side of 60 volts, so suitable for our large area modules. This one has a peak MPPT power range of 29 to 48 volts, so you want to be in that sweet spot when the panel's operating at VMP, so 29 to 48 volts, and the smaller HM700, it's 33 to 48 volts, so it needs a slightly higher startup voltage than the HME 1200. The input voltage range for the HME 1200 is 16 to 60 volts, and it's the same for the HM 700. The startup voltage on both of them is 22 volts, and the maximum continuous input current from the PV on the HME 1200 is 11.5 amps, whereas which is the same on the HM 700. The input short circuit current, which is a bit of a big deal these days because panel sizes are going up, is 15 amps per input. So ISC PV 15 amps per input, and ditto on the HM700. Rated output to power, as I mentioned, is 1200 VA on the HME 1200 and 700 VA on the HM700. The rated output current 5 amps on the HME 1200 and 2.9 amps on the HM700. So those are some of the basics. In terms of their other electrical characteristics, these are both single phase nominal 230 volt input, 50 hertz. Their peak conversion efficiency is a whacking 96.7%. Wow, that's great. And they're both IP67, so they can hack it on a roof in almost any conditions at all. Their ambient temperature range, -40 to +65. Now, remember, panels actually have a similar temperature rating too, and these will be under the panels out of direct sunlight, so 65 degrees in the shade would be pretty intense, and so they are fully rated for that. And this is an inverter topology that's isolated. That means between the DC side and the AC side, we have galvanic isolation. So that's the Hoymiles rooftop inverters. I'm going to stop calling them microinverters. When it's 1200 VA, that's not micro anymore. That's big. Wow. I'm excited to try these out. So let's get outside and stick them on a roof somewhere, or maybe on a wall where I can see them nice and clearly. And that'll be coming up in our next video, which I'll link up here. See you there.